Question 1. Write 6,184 correct to the nearest hundred. So units, tens, hundreds, thousands. So this is our hundreds column. So we're going to look at the number to the right in the tens column. The number to the right is 5 or above. Then we're going to round that number up. So it's going to become 6,200. If it was less than 5, it would remain as 6 and a 1. And then it'd be 6,100. So 6,200 on the answer line. Question 2. Write 0.7 as a fraction. So we're going to write it as 7 over 10 because there is one decimal place. So 7 over 10 on our answer line. Question 3. Change 9 metres into centimetres. So 1 metre, if we do a little proportion table, 1 metre is 100 centimetres. So if we're going to 9 metres, we need to multiply by 9. 100 multiplied by 9 is 900 centimetres. We're going to pop that on our answer line. It's always worthwhile using your calculator because it's a calculator paper. Question 4. Simplify 3 multiplied by 40. Well, 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. It's just the 1t on the right hand side, so we're going to write our answer as 12t. Question 5. Here is a list of numbers: 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. One of these numbers is a multiple of 25. Which number? So if it's a multiple of 25, it will divide by 25 and give us a whole number answer. So I know that the only one here is 100, so I'm going to pop that on the answer line. You could, however, check them all. 20 is too small, but you could do 80 divided by 25. Don't get a whole number. 60 divided by 25. I don't get a whole number, but obviously when we do 100 divided by 25, we do. So we know that that's the correct answer. Question 6. Shari has a fair ordinary dice. She rolls the dice once. Part A. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that Shari gets the number 7. The options to roll on a normal dice: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 7 isn't an option, so I'm going to mark a cross at 0 because 0 is impossible. Part B. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that Shari gets an even number. So let's look back up here then. Our even numbers: 2, 4 and 6. So there are 3 even numbers out of 6 possible numbers. This simplifies to a half, so I'm going to mark my cross at the halfway point. Question 7. Here is a triangle. The triangle is accurately drawn. Measure the length of AC. So this is the length AC. I'm going to start my ruler here and then go along, and I get AC measures at 9 centimetres. Measure the size of the angle B. So the angle here at B. So I'm just going to turn this round to make my life easier, and I'm going to put the centre of the protractor there where the two lines meet. I'm putting my 0 line flush with the line BC, and then I'm going to read around. Now you'll see that my line doesn't quite reach, so I'm going to extend that to make my reading a little bit more accurate. So centre back where the two lines intersect to form the ankle. Flush with BC, read around the outside because it's this 0 that I've brought flush. So we're going to go all the way around to here. 101, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do have a tolerance of 2 degrees either side on this. And then it says here is a different triangle. QP is equal to QR. So these two sides are equal. Write down the mathematical name of this triangle. 2 sides equal, so it's an isosceles triangle. Question 8. The diagram shows 3 motorway service stations, P, Q and R on a map. P, Q, R. The map has a scale of 1 centimetre equals 4 kilometres. Work out the real distance from P to R. So I'm going to find out the total distance. So the total distance from P to R is 8 plus 16. It's a calculator paper, so you can do this on your calculator to save you some brain power. So we've got 24 centimetres in total. So if I use a proportion table, if 1 centimetre, if we deal with centimetres, so 1 centimetre is 4 kilometres, and I've got 24 centimetres, then I need to multiply by 24. So if I multiply this side by 24, 4 times 24 is 96. So the real distance from P to R in kilometres is 96. Question 9. Here are the first 5 terms of a sequence: 3, 8, 13, 18 and 23. Write down the next term of this sequence. So let's see what we're doing to get from one term to the next. From 3 to 8 we're adding 5. From 8 to 13 we're adding 5. 13 to 18 we add 5, and then 18 to 23 we add 5. So because we're adding 5, we're going to do it again. So if we add 5 again, 23 plus 5 tells us that the next term is 28. Write down the ratio of the second term to the fourth term. Give your ratio in its simplest form. So we want the second to the fourth. The second term is 8. The fourth term, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 18. And now we need to simplify. 8 and 18 are both in the 2 times tables. So if we divide by 2, we get 4 to 9. 4 and 9 don't have a common factor other than 1, so I'm going to write 4 to 9 on the answer line. Question 10. This graph can be used to find the cost of parking in a car park for up to 12 hours. So we have a conversion graph here. Part A, use the graph to find the cost of parking a car for 4 hours. So hours is along the bottom. So we're going to go to 4, draw up to the line, and then we're going to draw across. So it costs £6 to park for 4 hours. Justin drives into the car park at 0800 in the morning. When he drives out of the car park, he has to pay £9. What time does Justin drive out of the car park? So if he paid £9, let's see how long he was parked for. So we're going to find £9. We're going to read along the other way to the line and then down. Okay, so he parked for 6 hours. So we're going to do 0800 plus 6 hours. However you do this is up to you. So you can go 0800, so 0900, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what we want. So it's going to be 1400. This is in the morning. So this will be 1400 or 2 p.m. Doesn't matter which way around you write that. Question 11. The table shows information about the weights of the people in a hotel lift. So we have their weight and the number of people that were at that weight. Show that the total weight of the people in the lift is less than 1,200 kilograms. So let's find the total weight. So I'm going to multiply across here. So 1 times 40, 2 times 50, 4 times 60, 70 times 5. Even if you don't need to use your calculator, just use it on a calculator paper. 80 times 3. And then 90 times 1. And then we're going to add those together for that total weight. So 40 plus 100 plus 240 plus 350 plus 240 plus 90. So that gives us a total of 1,060 kilograms. Show that the total weight of people in the lift is less than 1,200 kilograms. Well, 1,060 is less than 1,200. We've shown all our working out. We've put a little bit of a statement, so we're good to go. Question 12. Shape A is reflected in a mirror line to give shape B. On the grid, draw the mirror line. So what we can see from going from shape A to shape B is that shape B is changed position slightly. So instead of it being flipped directly on the horizontal or directly on the vertical, it must have been flipped diagonally. So if we try and pick two corners, so this corner and this corner are the same corner, they're corresponding corners. So it's been flipped across here, look, and a mirror line is halfway. So our mirror line must go through this point, and it must be a diagonal line because of the way the shape is. So if I draw this line now, notice I'm drawing it in pencil just to be safe. I'm going to double check. So to get from this point to this point, it's 2 from the line. At a right angle, it's 2. That works. From here to here, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. So I'm confident with my mirror line there. And what I'm just going to do is remove those two lines so they don't get confused, by which I think my mirror line is. Part B. Alex is asked to reflect the shape P in the x-axis. Here is the diagram that Alex draws. Explain the mistake that he's made. Well, if we were reflecting P in the x-axis, we'd reflect it over the line, so it'd flip over this way and it'd be in this quadrant. What Alex has done is he's reflected it over the y-axis. So Alex has reflected over the y-axis. So just a quick explanation. Question 13. There are 50 teachers in a school. This is 1/16 of the total number of people in the school. Work out the total number of people in the school. So if 1/16 is 50 teachers, if we want the total number of people, we want 16/16. We want the whole thing. So we're going from 1/16 being 50 people to wanting 16/16. So we're going to have to multiply by 16. 50 multiplied by 16 is 800. So there are 800 people in the school in total. Question 14. Packets of sweets are put into boxes. So we have these packets of sweets going into these boxes. Each packet is a cuboid 80mm by 60mm by 20mm. The measurements given here on the diagram. Each box is a cuboid 72cm by 48cm by 24cm given on this diagram. Work out the greatest number of packets that can be put into each box. So the first thing I notice is that this is in millimetres and this is in centimetres. So we want them to be the same. So I'm going to convert these millimetres to centimetres. So there are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. So I need to divide each of these by 10. So that becomes 8 centimetres, 6 centimetres, and 2 centimetres. So now I'm going to find the volume of each of these cuboids. So the volume of the packet is 8 times 6 times 2, which is 96 centimetres cubed. The volume of the box, 72 times 48 times 24. Which is 82,944 centimetres cubed. The greatest number of packets that can be put into each box. So I'm going to do 82,944 divided by 96, which is 864. So 864 of these packets can fit into this box. It's really important that we make sure those measurements are in the same units. Question 15. Here is a fair ordinary dice and a fair 8-sided spinner. Charlie throws the dice once and spins the spinner once. Is Charlie more likely to get a number less than 3 on the dice or a number greater than 5 on the spinner? You must show all of your working out. So let's find the probability of a number less than 3 on the dice. So probability of less than 3 on the dice. So we have the options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 when we roll a dice. We want options less than 3. So there are 2 out of 6 options less than 3. Now let's have a look at the probability of a number greater than 5 on that spinner. So we have all of these numbers here. Greater than 5, we have 1, 2, 3 out of 8 because we got told that it was an 8-sided spinner. So now we need to decide which of these is the greater probability. So we need to compare them. To compare them, we need them to have a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by 8, so that's 16 over 48. I'm going to multiply this side by 6, so that's 18 over 48. So 16 over 48 is less than 18 over 48 because we've got a common denominator, so the numerators can be compared now, and 16 is less than 18. So the probability of getting a 3 is lower. A 3 on the dice is lower than the probability of getting a number greater than 5 on the spinner. So he's more likely. So Charlie is more likely to get a number greater than 5 on the spinner. Really important that you get those probabilities and you find a way of comparing them to support your conclusion. Question 16. Paolo drives at an average speed of 56 kilometers per hour for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Work out the distance that Paolo drives. So speed, distance, time. To work out the distance, we're going to do speed multiplied by time. Okay. So we know that the speed is 56 kilometers per hour and we have the time as 1 hour 45 minutes, but we need that as a decimal time. So 1 hour and then the 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour. So it's 1.75 as a decimal. What you could do is you could write it as 1 and 45 over 60, because it's 45 out of 60. And then if you were to simplify that on your calculator, so 1 and 45 out of 60, it would give you 1 3/4, but then you could put it into a decimal, which is 1.75. It's just another way of doing it if you need to. So the time is 1.75. So now we're going to do 56 times 1.75, which is 98. We're dealing with distance. Speed is kilometres per hour. So that's 98 kilometres distance. I'm going to pop that on our answer line. 17. There are 3 cinemas, A, B and C. The mean number of seats per cinema is 380. There are 350 seats in cinema A, 250 seats in cinema B. Work out the number of seats in cinema C. So let's go back to the first piece of information. There are 3 cinemas and the mean number of seats is 380. So if the mean number of seats of those 3 cinemas is 380, we would have added the number of seats together and then divided by 1, 2, 3. So let's reverse that. So 380 times 3 tells us that there were 1,140 seats in total. So that's across all 3 cinemas. We know the number of seats in cinema A and cinema B, so let's take those away. Which leaves 540, so this must be the number of seats in cinema C. Question 18. Asher buys 180 cans of cola. The cans are sold in packs. There are 12 cans in each pack and each pack costs £3. Work out the total cost of the cola Asher buys. So Asher buys 180 cans, so we need to figure out how many packs. So there are 12 cans in each pack, so 180 divided by 12 tells us that there were 15 packs in total. Each pack is £3, so we're going to multiply 15 by 3. That tells us the total cost was £45. Ethan buys a box of 24 cans of lemonade for £7. There are 330 ml of lemonade in each can. Work out the cost of 100 ml of lemonade. Give your answer correct to the nearest penny. Okay, so we've got the number of mils for each can, and we've got the price for 24 cans. So let's figure out the price for one can first. So this is the cans and this is the price. So if 24 cans cost us £7, we want one can, we're going to divide by 24. So dividing 7 by 24, which is 0.29 pounds. Okay, so that's 29 pence per can. Now we know each can has 330 mils, so we can draw another proportion table, and that for that 29 pence here we get 330 mils. We want to work out how much 100 mil costs. So let's find out what 1 mil costs. So let's divide by 330. Which is 0.087. And then we're going to times by 100 because we want 100 mils. Which is 8.79. So it's 8.79 pence, but we want it to the nearest penny. So that would be 9 pence. Question 19. 240 people work at a factory. Of these people, 150 have a car, 110 have a bicycle, 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. So 240 people in total has been completed for us. 150 people have a car. So this is the have a car bubble. So we're going to pop 150 in there. If 150 have a car, then we can take that away from 240 to find out how many don't. So 240 subtract 150 is 90. So that was 240 subtract 150. 110 people have a bicycle. So we have 2 bubbles for have a bicycle. So these need to total 110. 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. So 65 don't have a car. So we don't have a car, but 65 of these do have a bicycle. So this is 65 here. So I can find this section by doing 90 subtract 65. I can find this has a bicycle bubble because these 2 bubbles should add to the 110 people that have a bicycle. So 110 subtract 65. And then 150 subtract that 45 should be this bubble. So I've completed the frequency tree. Part B, what percentage of the 150 people who have a car also have a bicycle? So those that have a car is 150. Those that have a bicycle are 45. So it's 45 out of those 150. And if we multiply that fraction by 100, that will tell us the percentage. So that is 30%. So I'm going to pop 30 on the answer line there. 20A. Work out the value of this calculation. Write down all the figures on your calculator display. So I'm going to start by pressing the fraction button because everything's in a fraction. Now I'm going to type in the numerator. So I've got 25 subtract the square root of 43.87 on the top. And then if I go down, 6 plus 2.1 squared on the bottom. Make sure what you see here matches what you see here. And then press equals. So 1.76527923. Work out the value of the reciprocal of 0.625. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to make it into a fraction. So it's 625 out of, there's 3 decimal places, so 1000. The reciprocal requires me to flip it upside down because the reciprocal is what I would multiply this by to get an answer of 1. It wants us to work out the value, so now we're going to do this sum. 1000 divided by 625 is equal to 1.6. I'm going to put 1.6 on my answer line. Question 21. Write 60 as a product of its prime factors. So we're starting with 60. We want two numbers that are going to multiply to give us 60. So I'm going to use 2 and 30. 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it and end that branch. Two numbers that multiply to give us 30. I'm going to use 3 and 10. 3 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it and end that branch. Two numbers that multiply to give us 10. 2 and 5. 2 is a prime. 5 is a prime. All of the branches are ended, so that completes the prime factor tree. Now we need to write it as a product. Product means multiply, so we need to write the multiplication symbol here. So we have 2 multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 5. Now I can write it on the answer line like that, or you might have also seen it written like this. Either of those two, it doesn't matter. I've just combined the 2's to write it in index form. Either of these two versions on the answer line will get you full marks. Question 22. There are 48 counters in a bag. There are only red counters and blue counters in the bag. The number of red counters to the number of blue counters is 1 to 2. So red to blue. Helen has to work out how many red counters are in the bag. She says there are 24 red counters in the bag because 1 is a half of 2 and 24 is half of 48. Is Helen correct? You must give a reason for your answer. So if I was sharing 48 counters into this ratio, I would get the total number of parts and I would do 48 divided by 3, which is 16. 1 times 16 is red, 2 times 16 is blue. This doesn't match what Helen's saying, so I'm going to say no. There are 16 red counters. Question 23. We have been given a double inequality where n is an integer. Part A, write down the greatest possible value of n. So the greatest possible value of n, if we look at these values, we can include -2, then it'd be -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not including the 5 in this range of values because there is no line underneath that symbol that makes it an equal to symbol. So the greatest possible value of n is 4. On the number line below, show the inequality, this double inequality here, on the number line. So we need a circle at -4 and we need a circle at +1. We're going to join these two together, but we just need to check whether or not we need to fill those circles. So this is a less than or equal to sign, so we need to fill that circle. This one doesn't have an equal to line underneath it, so we're going to leave that circle empty. Part C, solve 2/5 g, subtract 4 is less than 6. So the first thing we're going to do is add 4 to eliminate this subtract 4. So that leaves me with 2/5 g. When I add 4 on this side, 6 plus 4 is 10. So 2/5 g is less than 10. Currently it's 2/5 multiplied by g. So So if I divide by 2/5, that will tell me what I need on this right hand side. So 10 divided by 2/5 is equal to 25. So G is less than 25. It's important because we've got an inequality symbol here that we write the full thing. G is less than 25. Question 24. Here is a triangle and a rectangle. All measurements are in centimetres. The area of the triangle is 10 centimetres greater than the area of the rectangle. Work out the value of x. So let's find out the area of each of these two shapes, but we're going to have to find them in algebraic form. So to find the area of a triangle, we do base times the height, and then we divide it by 2. So the base is 8, the height is 6x, and then we would divide by 2. 8 multiplied by 6x is 48x, and then 48 divided by 2 leaves us with 24x for the area of the triangle. Now let's do the rectangle. We would do length times width, so we would do 5 times 4x subtract 1. These brackets are important because it's 5 times everything here. So let's expand. 5 times 4x is 20x. 5 times -1 is -5. Now it says the area of the triangle is 10 centimetres greater than the area of the rectangle. So the area of the triangle is 24x, but it's 10 centimetres more than the area of the rectangle. So we would have the area of the rectangle plus another 10 centimetres. So let's just simplify this a little. 20x subtract 5 plus 10. So -5 plus 10 gives us 20x plus 5. Now we're going to solve for x. So we're going to subtract 20x from both sides, which leaves us with 4x equals 5. And the last step will be to divide by 4. So x equals 5 divided by 4, which is 1.25. And let's pop that on the answer line. 1.25. Question 25. Last year, a family recycled 800 kilograms of household waste. 57% of this waste was paper and glass. Weight of paper recycled to the weight of glass recycled is expressed in the ratio 12:7. Calculate the weight of glass the family recycled. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out 57% of 800 because this is what the total weight of paper and glass is. So 57% of 800. So 57% is 0.57 as a multiplier. So if I do 800 times 0.57, that will tell me what 57% is. So that's 456 kilograms, and that's that 57%, which is paper and glass. And our ratio deals with paper and glass. So the weight of the paper to the weight of the glass is in the ratio 12:7. So I'm now going to share this amount into this ratio. So we have 12 plus 7, 19 parts in total. So I'm going to do 456 divided by 19, which is 24. So I want the weight of glass. So I'm going to multiply this side of the ratio by 24. 7 times 24 is 168. So the weight of the glass is 168. Question 26. A number D is rounded to 1 decimal place. The result is 12.7. Complete the error interval for D. Okay, so we want a lower bound and an upper bound. If 12.7 is the solution to 1 decimal place, then 12.65 is the minimum value, and then 12.75 would be the maximum value. 1 decimal place is 1/10, which is 0.1. half of that is 0.05. So what I've done is subtract 0.05 for the lower value, add 0.05 for the upper value. Question 27. Tasmin buys a house with a value of £150,000. The value of Tasmin's house increases by 4% each year. Rachel buys a house with a value of £160,000 and the value of Rachel's house increases by 1.5% each year. At the end of 2 years, whose house has the greater value? You must show how you get your answer. So let's start with Tasmin's house. So that's 4% each year. 4% is 0.04 as a multiplier, but it's an increase, so it'd be 1.04 as a multiplier. So we would have 150,000 multiplied by 1.04 to the power of 2 years. It's compound interest, a repeated percentage change. So the value of Tasmin's house would be 162,240. Now let's do the same for Rachel. So she's got 160,000. At 1.5% is 0.015, but it's an increase, so it's 1.015. 1.015. Still to the power of 2 years. Which is 164,836. Whose house has the greater value? Well, Rachel's has the greater value. Oh, I can't speak. Because 162,240 is less than 164,836. Question 28. Here are 5 graphs. 5 graphs here. The table shows the equations of these graphs. Match the letter of each graph with its equation. Okay, so first things first, we have 2 straight line graphs. So they're going to be graphs that don't have any powers in them. So we have this one and this one potentially could be A. We have a curve, a U shape, which is a quadratic curve. So the only equation we have here with a quadratic in is this one. So I'm going to say that this must be graph B. This is the reciprocal graph, which is y equals 1 over x. So the only option for that is here. So that must be graph C. This graph is a curve. And the only other equation we've got with anything that would relate to a curve is x cubed. This is an x cubed curve, so I'm going to put E in there. So now we just need to decide whether A or D goes with y equals x add 3 or y equals 5 subtract 2x. So first things first. This one is a positive x. It has a positive gradient, so it must be going upwards. This has a negative x coefficient, which has a negative gradient, so it must be going downwards. So D is going upwards, so that must be this one. A is going downwards, so that must be this one.